Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to start with chapter number 17 of Medieval India NCERT. The chapter is about cultural and religious developments. There was an outburst of many-sided cultural activity in India under the Mughal rule. The traditions in the field of architecture, painting, literature and music created during this period set a norm and deeply influenced the succeeding generations. In this sense, the Mughal period can be called a second classical age following the Gupta age in northern India. In this cultural development, Indian traditions were amalgamated with the Turco-Iranian culture brought to the country by the Mughals. The Timurid court of Samarkand had developed as the cultural center of West and Central Asia. Babur was conscious of this cultural heritage. He was critical of many of the cultural forms existing in India and was determined to set proper standards. The development of art and culture in various regions of India during the 14th and the 15th century had led to the rich and varied development from which it was possible to draw upon. But for this, the cultural efflorescence of the Mughal age would hardly have been possible. Peoples from different areas of India as well as people belonging to different faith and races contributed to this cultural development in various ways. In this sense, the cultural developed during the period was tending towards a truly national culture. Architecture. The Mughals built magnificent forts, palaces, gates, public buildings, mosques, bawlis, water tank or well, etc. They also laid out many formal gardens with running water. In fact, use of running water even in their palaces and pleasure resorts was a special feature of the Mughals. Babur was very fond of gardens and laid out a few in the neighborhood of Agra and Lahore. Some of the Mughal gardens, such as the Nishat Bagh in Kashmir, the Shalimar at Lahore, the Pinjore Garden in the Punjab foothills, etc., have survived to this date. A new impetus to architecture was given by Sher Shah. His famous Mausoleum at Sasaram, Bihar, his mosque in the old fort at Delhi are considered architectural marvels. They form the climax of the pre-Mughal style of architecture and the starting point for the new. Akbar was the first Mughal ruler who had time and means to undertake construction on a large scale. He built a series of forts, the most famous of which is the fort at Agra. Built in red sandstone, this massive fort had many magnificent gates. The climax of fort building was reached at Delhi, where Shah Jahan built his famous Red Fort. In 1572, Akbar commenced a palace-cum-fort complex in Fatehpur Sikri, 36 kilometers from Agra, which he completed in 8 years. Built atop a hill along with large artificial lake, it included many buildings in the style of Gujarat and Bengal. These included deep caves, balconies, and fancy full kiosks. In the Panch Mahal built for taking the air, all the types of pillars used in various temples were employed to support flat roofs. The Gujarat style of architecture is used most widely in palace built probably for his Rajput wife or wives. Buildings of a similar type were also built in the fort at Agra, though only a few of them have survived. Akbar took a close personal interest in the work of construction both at Agra and Fatehpur Sikri. Persian or Central Asian influence can be seen in the glazed blue tiles used for decoration in the walls or for tiling the roofs. But the most magnificent building was the mosque and the gateway to it, called the Buland Darwaza or the Lofty Gate, built to commemorate Akbar's victory in Gujarat. The gate is in the style of what is called half dome portal. What was done was to slice a dome into half. The sliced portion provided a massive outward facade of the gate, while smaller doors could be made in the rear wall where the dome and the floor met. This device, borrowed from Iran, became featured in the Mughal buildings later. With the consolidation of the empire, the Mughal architecture reached its climax. Towards the end of Jahangir's reign, began the practice of putting up buildings entirely of marble and decorating the walls with floral designs made of semi-precious stones. This method of decoration, called Pietradura, became even more popular under Shah Jahan, who used it on a large scale in the Taj Mahal, justly regarded as a jewel of the builder's art. The Taj Mahal brought together in a pleasing manner all the architectural forms developed by the Mughals. Humayun's tomb, built in Delhi towards the beginning of the Akbar's reign, which was a massive dome of marble, may be considered a precursor of the Taj. The double dome was another feature of this building. This device enabled a bigger dome to be built with smaller one inside. The chief glory of the Taj is the massive dome and the four slender minarets linking the platform to the main building. The decorations are kept to a minimum: delicate marble screens, Pitradura inlay work, and kiosks, chhatris, adding to the effect. The building gains by being placed in the midst of a formal garden. Mosque building also reached its climax under Shah Jahan, the two most noteworthy ones being the Moti Masjid in the Agra fort, built like the Taj entirely in marble, and other the Jama Masjid at Delhi, built in red sandstone. A lofty gate, tall and slender minarets, and a series of domes are a feature of Jama Masjid. Although not many buildings were put up by Aurangzeb, who was economy-minded, the Mughal architectural traditions, based on a combination of Hindu and Turco-Iranian forms and decorative designs, continued without a break into the 18th and early 19th centuries. Thus, Mughal traditions influenced the palaces and the forts of many provincial and local kingdoms. Even the Harmandir of the Sikhs, called the Golden Temple at Amritsar, which was rebuilt several times during the period, was built on an arc and a dome principle and incorporated many features of the Mughal traditions of architecture. Painting. The Mughals made distinctive contribution in the field of painting. They introduced new themes depicting the court, battle scenes, and the chase, and added new colors and new forms. They created a living tradition of painting which continued to work in different parts of the country long after the glory of the Mughals had disappeared. The richness of the style again was due to the fact that India had an old tradition of painting. The wall paintings of Ajanta are an eloquent indication of its vigor. After the 8th century, the tradition seems to have decayed, but palm leaf manuscripts and illustrated Jain texts from the 13th century onwards show that the tradition had not died. Apart from the Jains, some of the provincial kingdoms such as Malwa and Gujarat extended their patronage to the painting during the 15th century. During a vigorous revival began only under Akbar, while at the court of Shah of Iran, Humayun had taken into his service two master painters who accompanied him to India. Under their leadership, during the reign of Akbar, painting was organized in one of the imperial establishments, Karkhanas. A large number of painters from different parts of the country were invited, many of them from lowly castes. From the beginning, both Hindus and Muslims joined in the work. Thus, Daswant and Basavan were two famous painters in Akbar's court. The school developed rapidly and soon became a celebrated center of production. Apart from illustrating Persian books or fables, the painters soon assigned the task of illustrating the Persian text of Mahabharat, the historical work Akbarnama, and others. Indian themes and Indian scenes and landscapes thus came in vogue and helped to free the school from Persian influence. Indian colors such as peacock blue and Indian red, etc., began to be used. Above all, the somewhat flat effect of the Persian style began to be replaced by roundness of the Indian brush, giving the pictures a three-dimensional effect. Mughal painting reached a climax under Jahangir, who had a very discriminating eye. It was a fashion in the Mughal school for the faces, bodies, and feet of the people in a single picture to be painted by different artists. Jahangir claims that he could distinguish the work of each artist in a picture. Apart from painting, hunting, battle, and court scenes, under Jahangir, special progress was made in portrait painting and paintings of animals. Mansoor was the great name in this field. Portrait painting also became fashionable. Under Akbar, European painting was introduced in the court by Portuguese priests. Under their influence, the principles of foreshortening, whereby near and distant people and things could be placed in perspective, was quickly adopted. While the tradition continued under Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb's lack of interest in painting led to dispersal of artists to different places of the country. This helped in development of painting in the states of Rajasthan and Punjab hills. The Rajasthan style of painting combined the themes and earlier traditions of Western India or the Jain school of painting with Mughal forms and styles. Thus, in addition to hunting and court scenes, it had paintings on mythological themes such as dalliance of Krishna with Radha or the Bara Masa, that is, the seasons, rags, melodies. The Pahadi school continued these traditions. Thank you everyone for tuning in. In the next part, we'll talk about language, literature, and music. All the best for exams. Do share and subscribe the channel to keep supporting us. Thank you everyone.